Good evening. Call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Inform the public we are returning from executive session with nothing to report out at this time. The meeting is being broadcast live and recorded by the Raynham Channel. And I would ask everybody to join us in the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will entertain a motion for acceptance of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. No department heads this evening, no appointments, no public hearings. Completion of old business, discussion and action, community services, director employment contract.
I'll make a motion that we table this for 1 week. There are a few details to be worked out, but that it will be retroactive to Monday, November 4th, which will be Aaron Medeiros' first day.
Perfect. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. Any other old business, Mr. Shivo?
None.
Ms. Riley?
No, thank you.
All right, new business, Rock Hard Racing one-day special license. Graham, I don't see any information in my packet on that. Is everything in order?
Give me 1 second.
We have it here from Park and Rec. Thank you, Pat. Park and Rec voted unanimously on July 13th to recommend a one-day liquor license for Rock Hard Racing. Thank you very much in advance. If you have any questions, it is in order. What is the board's pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. Next, discussion and action bylaw committee. Ms. Riley, that is you.
Yes. Our government study committee had recommended that the town engage General Code to conduct a technical review of town bylaws to ensure that they comply with all federal and state laws and regulations, as well as are consistent with town meeting votes. And I know that there's a lot of work that's gone into that. As a kind of a follow-up to that, however, the Collins Center had recommended that we establish a standing bylaw review committee for the purpose of reviewing the town bylaws for substance and comprehensiveness. I think it's been quite some time since this happened, or if ever, and certainly obviously different things change, so it should be reviewed. And I know even last year we dealt with a legal lawsuit that probably would not have gone to the extent that it did if there hadn't been some ambiguity in some of our bylaws. So I think it's really important that we follow up with what General Code has done and go forward with this. So I would like to make a motion that we establish a standing bylaw review committee for the purpose of reviewing the town bylaws for substance and comprehensiveness. And then as we go forward, we can determine, what we want the makeup of this committee to be and so forth. But so that at least we don't, get started.
For discussion?
Sure.
Mr. Chair. I have no problem with the following qualification with the motion that's made. The first is I would amend that to read that the committee not be standing, that it be a committee that's established to accomplish this. The board can always review reestablishing it. And the other qualification, Mr. Chairman, is that that no bylaws be associated with any individual's job descriptions, that they ought to apply to the broader structure that we deal with. So with those two, I certainly would support Pat Riley's motion.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
My one request would be to broaden the scope of job descriptions to say personnel. Personnel is an ever-changing field, not just legally, but also technically.
Okay, fine.
And so I don't think there should be any codified bylaws, and this board previously had agreed to that. And so if the amendment would be for temporary as opposed to standing and no personnel bylaws, I would acquiesce as well.
Fine.
Do you accept, Ms. Riley?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is approved. Anything else on that, Ms. Riley?
No, I think we can follow up in the future when we had a chance to think about it a little bit.
Composition, sure.
Mhm.
Great, thank you. Any other new business, Mr. Shivo?
None.
Ms. Riley?
No, I have none.
Thank you. Town Administrator's report, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ongoing business. At the August 26th Selectmen's meeting, the board voted for me to compile a list of surplus property and bring it before the board. I've emailed the departments to send me a list of surplus equipment to be auctioned off. I have heard back from a couple of department heads and will compile a list for auction. I'll bring that to the board before any auction takes place, and we'll get input from the board on that. Part-time opening advertisements. The part-time health department nurse position has closed. We have received 3 applications. Kelly, Denise, and I will be reviewing the applications and setting up interviews. Also, interviews for the plumbing inspector are continuing as we go along. Staff training. We have the Collins Center coming in tomorrow to conduct management training with department heads. This is part of the organizational and HR project they've been working on with the town. Future trainings will also include workplace discrimination and sensitivity training, among others. The next regularly scheduled Selectmen's meeting will be Tuesday, November 9th at 7 p.m. right here in the Don McKinnon Meeting Room of Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, Raynham, Massachusetts. The public will be able to participate by watching Raynham Channel on Verizon, Comcast, or recording posted later on YouTube. And finally, Mr. Chairman, and to the board, I want to extend my apologies regarding the warrant cover sheet. I did mix up the names and titles, and it went out to the public that way. I did correct it on the published version that we had at the meeting, but just a personal apology.
Sure.
And that is all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, and take any questions or comments.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Chavez?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman. Graham, could you elaborate a little bit more on the staff training, the organizational HR project? We've had so many projects and committees. I think it might be helpful just to elaborate on that.
Sure. So when the town engaged the Collins Center to do the organizational review and HR review, one of the components that we asked them to do as a part of the agreement was to conduct, I believe it's up to 15 hours of training for the town staff and employees. Kelly and Mary from the Collins Center have been working to determine which types of trainings would be most beneficial for those 15 hours. So they've determined the first will be a management training for department heads. They've also determined workplace sensitivity and harassment discrimination training, more town-wide, and believe they've identified a third training. I'm not, don't have that information on the top of my head, but this is something that will be most likely continuing going forward in the future, with or without the Collins Center.
So 2 questions, if I may. Number one, when is the first training session? Has that been scheduled?
Tomorrow, yes.
Tomorrow is the first training?
That's the management one.
The management one. The second question I have is, going forward, the list of subjects that are being planned, I think it would be very helpful for the board to understand what those list of subjects are and to have some input with regard to what may or may not be a priority from our perspective. So I would ask that it be followed, Mr. Chairman.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions?
No.
Ms. Riley?
Just as a follow-up to Mr. Waters regarding the cover, also just want to go on record that in the future, the annual report, as it has always been for the annual town meeting, as it always says, it should say, is the annual report and recommendations of the Finance Committee, and that the Finance Committee members should be listed on that cover. And for capital planning, it's the report and recommendations of the Capital Planning Committee and Finance Committee, and you should have listed the names of the Capital Planning Committee members and Finance Committee members. These are 2 committees of all volunteers. They don't receive a penny for all the time and effort that they put in it, and they should be recognized. The names of the selectmen can go on the back of the page, because this is our forum. Town meeting belongs to the legislature, and that's the town voters. And thank you.
Okay.
The only thing I would add, since the 2 of you have talked about the warrant, my request would be that we moving forward, especially for me, to make sure these are mailed earlier.
Absolutely.
I was lucky enough to stop home before town meeting and get mine, and it was in the mail yesterday, but I heard from folks last night who had still not received it. The post office had made it clear there's going to be delays in letter carrying, and so I think we have to be proactive. If we're going to spend taxpayer money to mail this, it does them no good if it comes the day of the meeting and they don't have access to it, or worse yet, after the meeting. And so, to me, it's unfortunate that folks did not have this, because the whole point of doing this is notification, and the notification is a moot point the day of or after. So.
Mr. Chairman, I will say I brought that up with the printer. They mentioned that they had lost power. Otherwise, they would have gotten it to the post office on Wednesday instead of Friday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we voted on this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Once it's finalized,
Yeah.
I think it can go. And to me, I don't see any harm in having it go to the print shop and mailed out at that point. I'd rather have people have it a week early and have extra copies at the meeting than, again, have it get sent out the day of or after. So. All right. Selectmen's report. Mr. Shivo.
None.
Ms. Riley.
Just a couple of things. We received a copy of a letter that came from Bristol Plymouth to our town clerk, Marcia Sylvia, regarding their proposed project of the new facility, new regional technical school. And I believe tomorrow night, November 3rd, the committee is going to be having a meeting on that. And they have good news, obviously. They've been accepted for state funding to go toward that. But if it is approved on at tomorrow's meeting, then they're proposing possibly Saturday, December 11th is a special election to vote on that. So because this will impact all of our taxpayers, obviously, I would just respectfully request that we either have someone from Bristol Plymouth or some of the school committee members come here and give us a brief presentation prior to that so that we can do our due diligence in letting our voters know what's coming up.
Sure. If I could, Ms. Riley, I spoke to Superintendent Magalhaes twice today. They are planning on moving the election into January,
Okay.
But he also offered multiple times that if the board wanted him to come in, he'd be happy to. He was having a meeting with Bridgewater this evening, and he's already met with Rehoboth, so he'd be happy himself to come in and present and take any questions. But I would also encourage not just this board, but the public at home to visit the website, as I did today, and it's extremely useful information, including the ability to put in the town you reside in, the valuation of your home, which you can get on our town's website, and it will tell you the cost to your household. So I think they're doing a phenomenal job, in my opinion, getting the information out there in a transparent fashion. But I would agree it'd be good to have them come in.
Good, thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's all I have.
Great, thank you. I just have one thing. I spoke to Senator Pacheco last week, and it was actually coincidental because a few weeks ago Mr. DuPont was in talking about congressional redistricting, and I think the collective sense was we didn't want to wade into congressional redistricting, but in speaking with the senator, he let me know that they are in the process of redistricting House and Senate seats, and his Senate district is being redistricted, and he's losing Bridgewater. And that personally struck home to me because I think where we share a school district, having one senator and one rep at the state level, which is closest to us. I think all of us have the senator's cell phone number and talk to him, and the fact that now the school committee is going to have to navigate two senators, one of which who's never come this far south before, and the senator will only be covering Raynham, I think is a disservice. And credit to the senator because he was one of only 3 senators to vote against it, and he specifically cited for voting against it the reason of separating the Bridgewater-Raynham School District and not having Senate representation. And so I'm not looking for anything from the board unless we want to do something, but I personally wanted to thank the senator for his advocacy in keeping the district intact even though he was unsuccessful, and offer my frustration that the district was separated.
Second that.
Yes, certainly agree.
Right.
I do have one other thing, Mr. Chairman, also. On Veterans Day, November 11th, the American Legion Post 405 will be hosting a ceremony. The board and members of the public are invited, 10:30 at the Legion. There'll be a brief speaking program, and then they'll do an official flag burning ceremony behind the building.
Great. Thank you. Correspondence. We have one piece of correspondence from Bbbs Textile Diversion Program. They are writing to us about a residential textile collection program that is available to the town where they collect textiles from home and businesses, continuing the Bbbs home pickup program. And our town could benefit from our program. The advantages are numerous, including taking all textiles that no longer can go into regular trash, working with businesses to collect other items, and that the town, through exclusive placement of bins, either at the transfer station or other strategic locations, would generate funding to your town per pound of textiles collected. And that is for us to consider. What is the board's pleasure?
So moved.
You want to approve it?
Yes.
Okay.
Second?
Okay.
You have a-
I think I have the same consternation
Yes,
as you.
yeah,
I would
the
like to do our
exclusive-
due diligence and
Yeah, sure.
also make sure we're not subject to any procurement laws on this, so.
Right, so, motion to table.
All right, sure. Ma'am, do you have something?
I'm from Big Brothers Big Sisters
Okay.
Foundation.
If you could go to the podium.
Oh,
Thank you. And state your name and address for the record.
hello.
Hi.
My name is Taylor Millspaw, and I'm from CMRK on behalf of Big Brothers Big Sisters Foundation. So I have some additional information for you guys
Sure.
to clarify any questions. Basically, Big Brothers Big Sisters Foundation and CMRK collects clothing, textiles, and small household items in two main ways. We place the bins on strategically placed locations that will be visible but also won't be dumped on. So for example, the library or the transfer station, the middle school, places like that, we pay per pound for every pound collected. But what also sets us apart is that we offer free curbside pickup to your residents. Last year we visited 1,729 households, and we have collected over 180,000 pounds of clothing already, and that's without our existing, hopefully, partnership. So we also have a fleet of 25 trucks. We run our trucks 7 days a week and do have a skeleton crew on the weekends, but we'll respond within one business day of any instance of dumping. We are, we've given back to our community. We gave over $900,000 to nonprofit partners last year, and with the new legislation that's coming down in 2022 with the textile ban, it's really going to help your community. You can earmark it for special projects, but also help hit that diversion legislation and also help the environment. So I'm very excited to hopefully build a partnership.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I do, and I'm one of those households that you frequently
Well,
visit.
thank you very much.
But could you explain exclusive placement of our bins?
Yes, so although we won't get exclusive within the town, obviously private property, but exclusive bin placements on the properties that we are going to place a bin. So for example, we wouldn't want 6 other bin placements on the same town property.
So if one of our schools has a collection bin that they already use, that's not an issue?
We would prefer to be the only one, but also understand that you have already pre-existing partnerships. And something that we can do that I'm very excited about is we can totally customize your bins if you'd like. We can use your colors, your town logo, your mission, and put where exactly you would like the money to go. For example, some cities and towns might want to pay for scholarships for kids to go to camp or pay for additional marketing materials for this new textile ban. And one of my passions is secondhand clothing, but also marketing and really just getting that word out there and building a partnership, building a relationship that's mutually beneficial.
If I may. What other towns do you have partnerships with?
So we have just started this. Bar actually just signed on yesterday. We're very excited. But we've had bins on other places, but I just joined the team pretty recently and really working and building these partnerships. But we have bins at Medfield, a few other places, and I'm happy to give recommendations and references.
So the properties that in Bar and Medfield, are those town properties or private properties?
Town.
So you have 2 communities in Massachusetts so far?
Yes, right now, but we also have other bin placements that aren't exclusive, like Sandwich, we have bins placed already there. But we're really just expanding this partnership so that we can capture not just the transfer station, but also other convenient locations, because sometimes transfer stations have small hours of availability. So really just working to expand these partnerships. And it's really kind of a one-stop shop when you work with our organization, because people that might be homebound or have lots and lots of donations that they don't want to bring in a bin, they have an alternative option. So we'll come right to their household, and any donation is tax deductible, which is great as well.
So the pickups that aren't at the bins, are those also paid per ton to the town?
So unfortunately not, but those will count towards your diversion rates. The home pickups is the biggest fundraiser for the Big Brothers Big Sisters Foundation. So people, when they do the home pickups, are helping over thousands of children across Massachusetts. But those numbers would be included in your annual diversion rate. So you're still getting a benefit, although you might not be getting financial that way.
Are you aware of any procurement issues with us doing this with you?
I am not.
Okay.
And I've got some nifty little pictures of our bins and sample MOAs that we would sign. We make sure we never place bins without a contract, and really just getting our name out there and helping as many people as possible.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure?
Well, two things. I'm glad that we have further discussion. Certainly, one of the questions that I would have is there would need to be some agreement on the part of the town as to how many and where these bins would be placed, so that there would be no question about any issues associated with the placement of them. But I would make a motion that we table this and that we review the additional information which she has indicated, and we reschedule a meeting to make a decision one way or the other.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. Thank you. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Taylor.
Thank you so much. And I'll leave this large packet with you guys.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so will I follow up with you guys, or you follow up with me? Sorry for the question.
We'll follow up with you. We have
Okay.
your contact information.
Perfect.
Right.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. All right. No press time. Emergency business, Mr. Shiva?
None.
Ms. Riley?
No, thank you.
All right. Citizen and community input, any? Ms. King?
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Pacheco and the board. I just wanted to come again and continue my advocacy for Gilmore Hall for the Girl Scouts. I know it's been a couple of weeks. I just wanted to see if there was any status or anything else regarding that update.
We're still working through the process. We have insurance concerns and security concerns, so once the plan's in place, it will come before the board for ratification, and then, as I had said last time, we'll mention it to you and to all of our community groups in town about a way to better utilize that property.
Okay. I did want to comment also, wherever we do meet, if it's a public space, we do have to notify Girl Scouts, so they do also carry a policy on us if it's for any other location, because we do have to notify them, so that's
Great.
Something else.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's one of the things that we're looking to do, is to figure out if we're going to require any of the tenants to provide a policy, because there is a cost, and not every organization has the ability that Girl Scouts does with a national parent organization. So,
Yeah. Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Town of Raynham invoice and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved, and I'll entertain a motion for police, payroll, and invoice warrants.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, Mr. Shivo?
Aye.
Ms. Riley?
Aye.
And I will abstain. That passes. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.